So here I am with the Excursion and a leaky rear window. My Excursion's finally had the rear seal for the glass brittle and dry out to allow water to drip in from the inside of the glass. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to end up taking the glass out, reseal it, and put it back in. But to do that, first we'll need to take off all the interior plastics, the lock mechanism, and this rear plastic piece, and then we can go ahead and access the bolts that allow us to unscrew and take the glass off. From there, we'll take all the old sealant out and then put in our new seal tape and then reinstall everything. So let's go ahead and first get into the inside to take out the plastics. The plastic pieces that we'll need to remove is first we've got this upper cross piece, and then on each side you'll have two short dog legs, so one on each side, and then for the bottom cover you'll need to take off the caps for the handle, unscrew the handle, and then we can remove this bottom piece. That'll give us access to the lock and then also the key mechanism. So most of these are just straight pressure clips, so we can go ahead and just pull it down. And I'll show you what it looks like. So if you're looking at how it attaches, it's got this eyelet right here that corresponds with the hole, so that way it'll line it up. And then each of these plastic tabs here just is in the compression fitting right here. So you've got 4 of them, 2 on each side. And then last, you can see there's a little plastic clip in the bottom that just orients itself to the bottom of the other piece. So to remove the screws from the handle, we can just pry out the cover, and it's got little edges that hold it in. And then it is a T-30 Torx that we'll be using to unscrew it. And there's just the 2. And then we'll do that for the other side. I think this is always a good way to know how these things go in. So this is the back cover off. You can see there's a locating pin here that corresponds with the hole right here. And then you've got the little clip here, you've got a little clip here, and all these clips are doing on the top, these little fish hooks, are going up inside these. So it's just locating the back part that goes up against the glass. So it's making sure that these clips locate the back. And then the metal press clips, tangs, go in the lower holes down here. And it's just a snug fit clip, like I said. So there's that, and then we're gonna have to get the corner pieces off next. For these side pieces, they're actually going to slip up toward the top of the roof and then out. So you can see that we've got 2 white clips here, and then we've got the corresponding tabs on the bracket. So this is going to need to slip forward toward the top to come off. So here's the defroster. It's just a spade connector that unplugs, so it's just a flat spade connector. Now ultimately, if you wanted to, I suppose that you could leave this plastic piece up, and then once you disconnect the glass and pull it up, you could then go ahead and access this and unplug it when the window's away from the frame, but I just feel like it's a little bit easier. So we'll go ahead and do that for both sides. Just being careful. There we go, disconnected. To remove the wiper, there's a plastic cover right here. You'll have to kind of pull down and then pop out. There's two little clips that hold, and then it pivots up on this location. It'll actually come off. So if you want to see, it'll come off, but you don't need to remove that completely. What you'll need to do is remove this 13mm nut, and that'll allow you to take the wiper arm off. And we also have the hose that's connected as well. That'll go through. There's also a rubber grommet behind this. So we'll first go ahead and take this off. There we go. Take the hose off. Now we have our wiper assembly off. We'll go ahead and work this seal out of the glass. So we have that off. And then this will just have another connector on the inside. So here we are. We'll be able to disconnect this here as well. But we want to go ahead and start by taking out the motor, and then we're almost done having access to all the bolts to remove the glass. If you've ever had the back lock latch not working on your Excursion, where even if you lock your doors it won't unlock, you've been this far to replace the mechanism that's in there. So we're at this point. The things that we will need to do is disconnect the key rod right there. So that's your keyhole on the outside with your locating rod that goes over to your lock. Now we'll also need to remove the motor assembly, and then before we take this out, we'll need to release the wiper from the outside. So let's go ahead and first do the wiper on the outside. Now we'll take our 11mm and we'll start to undo the washer motor. And we'll go ahead and take those off. Now we've got our three, one there, and one down below, 3 bolts out. It's going to go ahead and come out of the glass, and it's going to drop down. So get this lock cable out of the way, and then work that motor assembly out. There we go. Now the reason for that, you need to access some screws back in there that hold the glass in place. So that's one of the reasons why. There's a better picture. I need to be able to access those nuts. Alright, the last piece we'll need to do is take off that outside plastic cover for the lock and the handle. And this is the key. So you can see in the center there's the V of the plastic clips that it sits down in. So what you'll need to do is just press something down in there to open those up, and then with 2 hands you can go ahead and lift that up through that. So you just don't want to pull up on it. You actually need to press those 2 pieces in the center out. So I'll go ahead and do that with 2 hands. And so you can see there how that sits inside, and that's out. Now that plastic outer cover has more of these bolts in there. We're going to be able to see them. Right back in there, that's going to help hold on that cover. And so we need to go ahead and do some more of those bolts to get that outer cover off. Now looking in at the handle, we're still trying to get that black plastic cover off in the back of the Excursion. So you can see this is the handle mechanism. When you lift the handle, that goes down. So what we need to do is we need to get in here, pop this green tab forward, and then that'll allow us to get that rod out of there. So we'll go ahead and try get that with there we go. And then that rod just pops out. So you can see now that lock mechanism is disconnected, or the handle mechanism is disconnected. We still have another bolt down here to disconnect. Almost there. We can take off this plastic cover now. We've been talking about getting off. And there is a little plastic dust vapor barrier right here. So this is where you can see we've got one bolt, we got two bolts, and then one right underneath here. So 3, 4, 5, 6 on the inside. That handle. So now that that's off, now you can see how the glass just goes around the edge. Oops. I have to unlatch that. And there's a frame that runs around the inside of the glass. It's glued to the glass, and that has the seal that then seals against the frame of the back hatch. So we'll go ahead and work on getting those nuts off to remove the glass. Here you can see the nuts that will be taken off to get the window out of the frame. We've got two on the left side, and then we've got one here near the center, and then two more over there. From the side, we have one up here, one back here, one on the bottom corner, and then also you can see right there was supposed to be a nut. There's not one on it. Same thing for over, let's see if I can, that one's missing one too. So there would be two on the inside. I'll have to get some new nuts. But the thing that you'll notice up here, and we'll see it again when we take it off, is this is the metal like frame that the glass is glued to, which that in turn with the studs is bolted to the back hatch frame. So the studs are not actually glued to the glass directly. It's to this inner frame that runs around, and that inner frame is what holds that the seal tape. So that'll be the next step, getting all these off the nuts to remove that back glass. So here we're on the next phase of taking the glass out. We've got a couple more bolts around the perimeter that we're going to be taking out, and then also along the top that'll allow us to take that glass off. We're going to set it down on our easel here and then be able to work on taking the old caulking out and then putting the new seal bead back in. So now that we've got the nuts off on the bottom, glass on the top, there's the metal piece that's fixed to the glass that holds the sealant that runs all the way around. So next we need to go ahead and relieve that sealant attached to the hatch. We're going to use a putty knife, and we're going to work our way slow around so we don't break the glass to release that all. So since we can't get the putty knife on the top side, we're going to use the knife on the inside to separate the part of the seal that's still attached. We know that the top part is where it's leaking, so there's going to be some that's not attached. But we're going to now work on it from the inside. So you can see now we've got that upper portion. Now we're just going to go back and remove the full glass from the hatch. So you can see the adhesive. We were using a hair dryer and putty knives to bust through it. We're slowly separating it out and then working our way to the top. And then we'll be able to get the glass off. So how you can see
or just goop.
The seal and where the rain was getting through underneath there, across the top, and then you can see really bad through here. The water is draining right down. So we'll go ahead, get that seal cleaned up, and then also on the windshield itself, get all of this out. See, it's not even attached. So get all of this off, cleaned up, and we got our new seal installed. So one trick of getting all this goop off, the seal out of that channel, instead of using solvents or wire wheels or different things like other people have said, you can just use the actual seal itself, and you can pull up on it, and that'll peel it out, and then you can rub it back and forth and it'll come out. So it just takes a little bit of work, but it just will stick to itself and then peel up. And then you can just rub some of it off and just keep going around. That way you don't have to use solvents or wire wheels or different things that make it more difficult. Just use the seal itself. Shows how I can just use some of the old stuff to pull the stuff stuck to the hatch still off. Just sticks to itself and then pulls it off. Easier to clean up. So here's our fix. It's 3M Windo-Weld Ribbon Sealer, part number 8612. And all it is just this, like a caulk rope that you press down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start at the bottom. I don't want to start at the top and have a seam there. So this way I'll have a continuous bead all the way up and around. So I'm going to go ahead and work that bead, that seal, all the way through that bead, all the way around the window. Then we'll get it up in place. Very nice. So one other thing I did just to make sure that it doesn't leak is here's the butyl seal, or whatever the material is, the frame that's bonded to the glass, and then what I did is I ran a bead of caulking all along the glass and that frame piece. I've read that some people had a problem where even though when they replaced the seal, it still had water intrusion underneath this frame piece that was glued to the glass. So just to make sure that doesn't happen, we've ran some around it. So here's my ultimate test of whether or not I resealed this back hatch window properly. It's raining today and we got no leaks. So this is all sealed and waterproof again.